They say age is just a number, but after 70, that number can start to feel a little louder. You may notice it in the way doctors speak slower during checkups, or how relatives gently offer you the arm of a chair. But here's something they don't often tell you. Your body is constantly whispering clues about your future, and many of them are more optimistic than you'd expect. Let's start with a clue that most people overlook completely. Your walking speed. Yes, something as simple as how fast you walk can be one of the most accurate predictors of longevity in older adults. Not your cholesterol levels, not your BMI, not even your blood pressure. It's how quickly you move through the world. In a landmark study from the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, researchers followed over 34,000 adults aged 65 and older. They discovered a striking pattern. Faster walking speeds correlated with longer life expectancy, even after controlling for health conditions and age. In fact, adults who walked at 1 meter per second or faster had notably better chances of reaching their 80s, 90s, or even hundreds. But this isn't just about brisk walks in the park, it's about vitality. Walking speed reflects more than just muscle or joints. It's a marker of how well your heart, lungs, brain, and nervous system are working together. It shows coordination, reaction time, balance, confidence, and ultimately, resilience. So here's the first big clue: you might live longer than you think. You still walk with purpose. If you find yourself passing others in the grocery aisle, confidently stepping over curbs, or naturally keeping pace with younger friends, that's a great sign. Your body still trusts itself, and that trust is a marker of good systemic health. But what if your walking speed has slowed? That doesn't mean your fate is sealed. In fact, it can be improved. Studies show that light strength training, balance exercises, and simply walking more each day can gradually increase your pace over time. This isn't just about adding years to life. It's about adding life to those years. Let's go deeper. Why does walking speed matter so much? Think about what it takes to walk briskly. Your brain must signal your muscles efficiently. Your cardiovascular system must deliver oxygen quickly. Your inner ear and visual system must work together to keep you balanced. Your joints must remain flexible. If even one part of that chain breaks down, your body compensates and often slows down. But if you're moving smoothly and steadily, that's your entire system saying, "We're still going strong." And here's something more encouraging. Walking speed is easier to improve than most health metrics. It doesn't require a prescription, a specialist, or a big expense. It requires consistency. One 20-minute walk a day, a commitment to move just a bit more than yesterday. Even if you use a cane or walker, the principle still applies. Mobility is momentum. So let's turn this into your first takeaway: daily action. Tip: time yourself walking 10 meters at your usual pace. If it takes under 10 seconds, 1 meter per second, you're in a great range. If it's slower, make a small walking goal, like reaching 1 meter per second over the next 4 to 6 weeks. Track your progress weekly and celebrate every second gained. You might be surprised how empowering this one test can feel. And the best part? You'll likely feel better before you even see the numbers improve. Of course, walking speed is just the beginning. There are 6 more clues coming that go far beyond fitness. Some psychological, some social, some even spiritual. But they all share one thing in common. They reveal how well you're aging from the inside out. So keep this in mind. if you're still walking with a spring in your step, chances are your heart and mind are still in stride too. And that may just mean you're on track for a much longer, more fulfilling future than anyone expects. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to fade after retirement, while others light up like a second sun? It's not just coincidence. There's a second clue that you may live longer than you think, and it has nothing to do with your blood work or diet. It's something deeper, something quietly powerful. It's your sense of purpose. Researchers call it ikigai in Japan, a word that roughly means reason for being. In a country known for its high percentage of centenarians, ikigai is often cited as a cornerstone of long life. But this isn't about having a big mission or a lofty goal. It's about having something, anything, that gets you out of bed in the morning with intention. In a groundbreaking 2014 study published in Psychological Science, adults over 50 who reported having a strong purpose in life were 15% less likely to die over the next 14 years, regardless of income, education, or health status. Even people in their 70s and 80s saw these benefits. The researchers concluded that purpose is one of the most robust predictors of longevity, even more than exercise or wealth. Think about that. Your mindset, your connection to something meaningful, can literally change the course of your biology. So what counts as a purpose? It might be walking your neighbor's dog each morning, or teaching your granddaughter how to cook, volunteering at the local food bank, caring for a spouse, tending to your garden, even finishing that novel you've always wanted to write. Purpose doesn't have to be grand, it just has to feel real. Here's the real kicker. Purpose doesn't just predict longevity. It also improves immune function, reduces stress, and lowers the risk of Alzheimer's and depression. It acts like an emotional shield, protecting you from the daily wear and tear that chips away at vitality. You feel more alert, more grounded, more willing to take care of yourself because you're doing it for something bigger than yourself. So ask yourself now, what gives your life structure, joy, or meaning beyond survival? If you can answer that clearly, even in a sentence, you're ahead of the game. You're not drifting through retirement. You're anchored in it. But if you're struggling to answer, don't panic. Purpose can be cultivated even now. Sometimes it starts with curiosity, a small interest, a social group, a class at the community center. The key is to explore without pressure and follow the spark wherever it leads. Daily action tip. Take 10 minutes today to write down your why. It doesn't have to be poetic. Just list what gives you joy, structure, or a sense of usefulness. Post it on your fridge or bathroom mirror. Remind yourself that this is what you're waking up for. Then ask, how can I spend more time with this purpose tomorrow? It's easy to think that after 70, the best chapters are behind you. But many studies and many wise elders say the opposite. Some of the richest, most connected years can come later in life because we finally have the time and perspective to focus on what truly matters. So if you're still waking up with a goal, whether it's caring for someone, creating something, or simply being present for another day, take heart. That purpose may be silently fueling your longevity. And remember this, people who feel needed tend to stick around longer, not because they're afraid to go, but because they've still got something worth staying for. Now, for a clue that surprises nearly everyone. yet it's backed by decades of science. Your grip strength, that's right. The strength in your hands may be telling you more about your overall health and how long you'll live than many standard medical tests. It might sound odd at first. What does squeezing a hand grip have to do with living longer? But when researchers looked closely, they found that grip strength is a powerful stand-in for your entire body's resilience. It reflects muscle mass, nervous system integrity, and even cardiovascular health. In fact, a massive study published in The Lancet found that lower grip strength was a stronger predictor of early death than high blood pressure or even obesity. This was true across more than 17 countries and 140,000 adults. Participants with weaker grips had significantly higher rates of heart disease, stroke, and overall mortality. Why? Because grip strength doesn't just measure hand muscles. It reflects the condition of your whole muscular system, your core, your coordination, your mobility. When your grip declines, it often signals that your other systems are under stress too. And here's the kicker. You don't need to lift heavy weights or join a gym to improve it. Simple, regular movements, carrying groceries, squeezing a tennis ball, doing light resistance exercises, can rebuild strength and protect your independence. Here's how you can test it right now. Hold a bathroom scale in both hands. Squeeze as hard as you can. If you're over 70, a grip strength of around 26 kilograms, 57 pounds for men, and 16 kilograms, 35 pounds for women is considered healthy. Below that, it may be time to focus on rebuilding some strength. But don't get discouraged. Grip strength is remarkably responsive to daily effort. Even a few minutes a day of targeted activity can build measurable gains. Daily action tip: keep a grip strength tool, like a stress ball or hand exerciser, by your favorite chair. Every time you sit to read or watch TV, do 2 to 3 sets of squeezes per hand. Or use light resistance bands to do simple pulling exercises. Bonus: carry your groceries instead of using a cart when possible. Those everyday loads strengthen more than your arms. They strengthen your life expectancy. Now, let's go a little deeper. Grip strength also correlates with brain health. Several recent studies have found that stronger grip is linked to better memory, faster thinking speed, and lower risk of cognitive decline. The theory? When your muscles stay engaged and functional, your nervous system stays sharper and more connected. Think of your hands as a direct line to your brain. The more you use them with purpose and resistance, the more you're sending the signal. I'm still active. I'm still capable. I'm still here. It's also important to remember that grip strength is not just about survival. It's about independence, the ability to open a jar, carry a bag, button a shirt. These small things add up to big quality of life wins. When you preserve your strength, you preserve your freedom. So, if you're still opening stubborn jars or lifting your grandchild with ease, take pride. Your hands are telling a story, and it's one of vitality. And if you've noticed your grip has weakened, that's not a death sentence, it's a call to action. Because as with all clues we're exploring today, the magic isn't just in observing them, it's in responding to them. And grip strength is one of the easiest, most effective places to begin. Imagine 2 people, both 75, same health, same income, same habits. One spends most days surrounded by friends, grandchildren, and neighbors. The other mostly stays home, watching TV in silence. Fast forward 10 years. Who's more likely to still be alive? According to the research, the socially connected person wins by a long shot. This brings us to the fourth clue that you may live longer than you think. You maintain strong social bonds. Harvard's 80-year-long study of adult development, the most comprehensive longitudinal study on aging ever conducted, found that the quality of your relationships is the strongest predictor of both happiness and longevity. Not wealth, not fame, not even IQ. It's connection. People who reported feeling warmth and support from those around them lived longer, experienced fewer chronic illnesses, and had sharper memories well into old age. Loneliness, on the other hand, was as dangerous to long-term health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Let that sink in. Now, it's easy to assume that social connection only means having a spouse, children, or a bustling family life. But that's not true. What matters is quality, not quantity. A meaningful weekly phone call with a friend, a daily chat with your neighbor on the porch, attending a book club or Sunday service, even sharing laughs with the cashier at the grocery store. These interactions nourish your nervous system, boost your immune function, and lower stress hormones like cortisol. They trigger oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which literally repairs tissue damage and protects the heart. So ask yourself, do you have at least one person you can talk to about anything? If yes, that's a massive green flag. You're already fueling your longevity in ways medicine can't. But if your social circle has shrunk, or you've grown more isolated in recent years, there's still time to change the tide. And it doesn't have to feel awkward or forced. Daily action tip: make one social micro goal this week. It could be inviting a neighbor for tea, joining a local walking group, calling an old friend, or attending a community center class. Connection is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger and more natural it becomes. And if mobility is a concern, technology can bridge the gap. Video calls, voice messages, even online hobby groups for seniors can create meaningful interaction, as long as it feels real and reciprocal. Here's the deeper truth. We are social creatures by design. The human nervous system is wired for connection. And when that connection fades, so does the body's will to thrive. But when we feel seen, heard, and valued, our cells literally respond. They fight harder. They repair faster. They say, I'm still part of something. So if you kept in touch with family, made new friends, or even just exchanged daily kindness with your barista, you may be aging better than you realize. Because in the end, longevity isn't just about surviving. It's about being surrounded by people who make it worth it. Let's say you've lived a full life, seen good days and bad, lost people you loved, made mistakes you'd rather forget. Now, at 70 or beyond, you carry decades of memories. But here's the question: how much of that weight are you still carrying? The fifth clue that you may live longer than you think is this: you're emotionally agile. That means you've developed the quiet superpower of letting go of regrets, grudges, bitterness, or unresolved guilt. You don't suppress your feelings, you process them. You've learned not to take everything personally. You forgive yourself and others, not to excuse the past, but to unchain yourself from it. And that ability may be doing more for your lifespan than your last checkup. In recent studies published in Health Psychology and the Journal of Behavioral Medicine, emotional regulation, particularly the ability to release anger and ruminate less on negative experiences, was strongly linked to lower inflammation, improved immune response, and increased life expectancy. In contrast, chronic emotional suppression or resentment led to elevated stress hormones, cardiovascular strain, and faster biological aging. Put simply, bitterness shrinks life. Emotional peace expands it. Now, this doesn't mean being falsely cheerful or pretending pain doesn't exist. Quite the opposite. Emotional agility means you allow your feelings to pass through you without clinging to them. You acknowledge them, but you don't let them define your identity. Think of it like this. A healthy emotional life is like a flowing river. You're still going to encounter rocks and debris, but if the water keeps moving, it won't stagnate. It won't rot. Many elders who thrive well into their 90s or beyond have this trait in common. They've faced tragedies, but somehow remained soft. They've been disappointed, but kept their curiosity alive. They talk about pain without becoming it. So ask yourself honestly, are you still holding on to something that no longer serves you? A grudge from 20 years ago? A self-blame that creeps in when you're alone? A family conflict left unresolved, eating away quietly? Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing peace over punishment. Daily action. Tip. Before bed tonight, try this simple ritual. Write down one emotion or memory you've been holding on to, something you're ready to release. Then, physically tear up the paper and say aloud, I release this. I deserve peace. It may sound small, but symbolic actions create real neural shifts. Over time, this becomes a habit of emotional hygiene, like brushing your teeth, but for your heart. You might be surprised how much lighter you feel, how you sleep better, how your breath feels deeper. Because the body doesn't just store trauma, it responds when it's released. Remember, a peaceful mind sends signals of safety to every system in your body. It tells your immune cells, your heart, even your DNA, we're okay, we can keep going. So, if you've learned to make peace with your past, to sit with difficult feelings without drowning in them, to stay soft in a world that tries to harden you, you may be aging more gracefully and more powerfully than you realize. Because emotional strength isn't about hardening. It's about staying flexible. And flexibility is what keeps us alive physically, mentally, and emotionally. There's something that's often misunderstood about aging. People think it means slowing down, fading out, winding down the brain like an old clock. But there's a powerful clue that you might live longer than you think. And it's not about having a perfect memory or solving crossword puzzles in record time. It's about this simple question. Are you still curious? That spark of wonder, the desire to understand, to try, to learn, is one of the strongest predictors of mental sharpness, emotional resilience, and yes, longer life expectancy. In a study from the University College London that followed more than 6,000 adults over a 10-year span, researchers found that people who scored highest in trait curiosity had significantly lower mortality rates. The curious were more engaged with life, more likely to adopt healthy behaviors, and, most remarkably, had stronger mental agility and emotional balance as they aged. Why does this matter so much? Because curiosity keeps your brain plastic, able to grow, change, and rewire itself even in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. That means sharper memory, faster thinking, greater adaptability, less risk of cognitive decline. And here's something beautiful. You don't have to study astrophysics to be considered a lifelong learner. Trying a new recipe, learning how to play an instrument, asking your grandson about cryptocurrency, reading a book on a new topic, joining a photography class, traveling to a town you've never seen, all of it fuels the mind and sends signals to your brain. We're still in the game, and the brain responds. It builds new connections. It grows. Now contrast that with what happens when people stop being curious. They default to routine. Same chair, same TV channel, same food, same stories. The world narrows, and eventually, so does the brain. So ask yourself, what was the last new thing you tried or learned? It could be small, a new phone feature, a different walking route, a documentary on a topic you knew nothing about. If you're seeking novelty, you're nurturing vitality. Here's where it gets even more exciting. Curiosity doesn't just impact the brain, it protects the body. Curious people tend to sleep better, experience less chronic stress, and engage more with preventive health care. They are also more likely to recover from illness faster because their mindset is active, hopeful, and engaged in problem solving rather than passivity. Daily action tip: start a try one new thing a week challenge for yourself. It doesn't need to be big, just different. A new dish, a new park, a new podcast, even a new conversation with someone outside your routine. Keep a journal or calendar and check off your weekly exploration. You'll be shocked at how quickly life opens back up and how young you start to feel again. You don't need to be a genius to keep your mind young. You just need to stay interested. Because aging isn't the end of your learning curve. It's the beginning of your wisdom curve. And curiosity is what powers that climb. So if you still look up at the stars and wonder, still ask questions, still pick up a book without knowing what's inside, that's not just a good habit. It's a sign your mind and your body have no plans to quit anytime soon. We've talked about walking speed, purpose, strength, connection, emotional health, and curiosity. But there's one final clue that might be the most unexpected, because it's not something you measure in a doctor's office. You measure it in your attitude. The seventh sign you may live longer than you think is this: you're still hopeful, not naive, not blindly cheerful, but quietly, stubbornly optimistic, especially when life gets hard. This kind of optimism isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about believing that something good is still possible, that even after loss or illness or disappointment, there are still beautiful moments ahead, and research backs it up. A 2019 study published in PNAS Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences tracked over 70,000 people and found that those who scored high in optimism lived 11 to 15% longer and were more likely to reach the age of 85 or beyond. What's more, these benefits held up even after accounting for physical health, depression, education, and lifestyle. Why? Because optimism rewires how you respond to stress. It increases your problem-solving ability, reduces chronic inflammation, boosts heart health, and encourages you to take better care of yourself. Optimists tend to recover faster after surgery, get sick less often, and have stronger social support networks because they expect good things, and that expectation becomes a self-fulfilling habit. Let's make one thing clear. Optimism is not about denying reality. It's about choosing the brighter lens. even when reality isn't perfect. You see this in the 90-year-old who laughs about her hip replacement, in the widower who still plants flowers each spring, in the grandfather who signs up for his first art class, just because why not? They're not living in fantasy, they're betting on life. Daily action. Tip: start a 3-minute optimism ritual every morning. Before you begin the day, write down or say aloud 3 things. One thing you're grateful for. One thing you're looking forward to. One thing you can control today. These tiny mental shifts train your brain to look for hope. And over time, that becomes the lens through which you experience life. Because the truth is, what you expect from life often determines what you get from it. If you expect pain, you shrink away. If you expect purpose, you lean in. And leaning in, even after 70, is what separates those who merely age from those who truly live. Final summary and call to action. So let's recap the 7 clues that quietly reveal you might live a longer, better life than you ever imagined. You still walk with purpose. You have a reason to wake up. You've maintained strength in your hands. You nurture your relationships. You know how to let go emotionally. You stay curious and open to learning. You expect good things to come. If you saw yourself in even 2 or 3 of these clues, you're already on a powerful path. And if you didn't, that's not a reason to worry. It's a reason to begin. Because every one of these signs can be built starting today. The human body and spirit are wildly adaptable. Even in your 70s, 80s, or beyond, it's never too late to add not just years to your life, but life to your years. So here's your final encouragement. Start with 1 clue, just 1. Walk a little faster, call a friend, squeeze a hand gripper, take a class, write a letter, forgive someone, expect something beautiful. Now, because the truth is, you might just have a lot more living left to do, and more strength, wisdom, and joy inside you than you think. Remember, getting older doesn't mean fading away. It means rising into your legacy.